Hi, I'm Pastor Stephanie Lape from Cross and Crown Lutheran Church in Rancho Cucamonga, California, and I'm talking to you these few days about 5 things that can help alleviate anxiety. We're living in some anxious times, and so it's understandable if you're feeling a little bit of anxiety these days, but there really are things that we can do. Yesterday I talked about prayer and how going to God in prayer and voicing what we do want rather than just what we don't want or what we're afraid of, that can be very helpful. Today I want to talk also about another thing that can be helpful, and I actually did not really learn this from Christianity, although I'm a Christian pastor. It doesn't contradict Christianity, but before I was a pastor, I taught comparative religions at a community college for about 13 years, and I loved being a student of the world's religions, and I really learned this from Buddhism, and that is the understanding of mindfulness. Mindfulness just means really focusing on what you're doing when you're doing it, being in the present moment. The thing is, much of our lives, our conscious mind is wrapped up in thoughts about the future and thoughts about the past. When we think about the past, we often think of it with either sentimentality, kind of romanticizing the past, the good old days, that kind of thing, or we think about the past with regret or guilt or things we wish we had done differently. And I can talk about that at another video another time. But we often think about the past, and then we also often think about the future. And thinking about the future is what causes us a lot of anxiety. We play out scenarios in our mind about how we think things might turn out. We often ruminate on worst case scenarios, and it's terrifying. One of the reasons I believe it's terrifying as a Christian is because I don't believe that God is there. God doesn't live in the future. God, the great I am, is right here, right now. And when you get to tomorrow or 5 years from now or 20 years from now or whenever it is, when you're in the right now of then, God will be right there. But God is not existing in these stories we tell ourselves, these narratives, these scenarios, often the worst case scenario about the future. That's not where God is living. God is living with us here and now. So in Buddhism, they talk a lot about practicing mindfulness, and that just means really being aware of your surroundings in the literal moment you're in them. In the Christian church, we have this Lord's Prayer that Jesus taught us that says, give us this day our daily bread. It also says in the Bible, why worry about tomorrow? Tomorrow will take care of itself. Today has enough problems of its own. So we can be in this literal 24 hours, but I think also even beyond being in just today, we can be in this very moment. Where are you right now? Now you're watching this video right now, but feel the sensation of sitting in the chair, or maybe you're walking as you're listening to this, or maybe you're laying down in your bed. Where are you literally physically? What room are you in, or are you outside? What are you wearing? What do you see? What do you hear? What do you smell? What do you taste? What are you touching? Think of your 5 senses. What is the weather like today? And are you safe? Are you safe right now? I pretty much can almost guarantee that you are. At this moment, you're safe. At this moment, you're held. You're held in the grip of grace. You're held in the hands of love, and you're fine. Knowing where you are right now and thinking about that and being mindful of where you are, you can really focus then on the fact that you're okay. And that can help calm some of the anxiety. Now in Buddhism, particularly in Zen Buddhism, there's a lot of practices to do this. Peeling and washing potatoes is one of those timeless things that Buddhists talk about doing to kind of just really be focusing on where they are. And I think that's because we can so easily do those mundane chores and our minds can drift and we can think about all kinds of things. But if you're peeling the potatoes or scrubbing the potatoes or say washing the dishes or changing the diaper or whatever it is that you're doing, try to keep your attention focused exactly on what you're doing and nothing else. It helps train the mind. Another thing that's really helpful, and I do this every day, and I suggest that everybody does this, is that you take some time to meditate. Now, I know the word meditation sounds all scary and weird, and it can even sound very Eastern because it's emphasized more in Buddhism and other Eastern religions. But it's not against Christianity. There are many Christian saints and mystics that have meditated. We have a long tradition of meditation in Christianity as well. It's just not as common. So all meditation is, let's demystify it. Let's take the spookiness out of it. All meditation is trying to quiet the mind. That's it. So whatever helps you do that. Sometimes people close their eyes and they think about their breath. That's what I generally do. Or sometimes I close my eyes and I just listen to the sound around me. It could be an air conditioner that's running, or a heater, or a fan. Listen to the sounds around you. Or sometimes people like to meditate by looking at something like a candle flame. Now, the thing is, when you do this, you will have lots of thoughts that come into your mind. No big deal. There's nothing that is forbidden. It's just that you don't want to run with that thought any more than it already is there. So if a thought comes into your mind, you can just tell yourself, I'm going to think about this later. Right now, I'm going to focus back on my breath. Or right now, I'm going to focus back on what I'm listening to, like the sound of the fan. Do that for 5 minutes. Just keep bringing your attention back to the breath. You will think about lots of other things. Don't beat yourself up. That's just what happens. And then just keep coming back to the breath, and coming back to the breath, and coming back to the breath. What you're doing is you are working, it's like a spiritual muscle. You're training yourself to be mindful of just the breath, or just the things you're hearing, or just the candle flame. You keep coming back and back and back to it. When you do that, and when you develop this practice of doing it, 5 minutes, then you can stretch it out to 7, maybe eventually to 10, and so on. I meditate for 20 minutes a day, and it's not as painful as it sounds. I know it sounds painful if you're not used to it. When I didn't do this, it was very painful for me to even sit for 3 or 4 minutes. But you do it longer and longer, you stretch it out more and more, you get more and more used to it, and then it is extremely relaxing. Then when you come out of meditation, you're more mindful the rest of the day, because you've developed that ability to be more mindful. It's like working out a muscle. So I hope this helps. I have found in my life that anxiety has greatly diminished the more I can practice mindfulness. Now, I'm not perfect at this. Nobody is. And some people, like my husband, he has a very kind of calm, natural temperament. That's just who he is. So some people are like that. Others, like me, I'm more wired to be very vigilant and very, on top of things, and making sure all the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted and all that. But that can lead to anxiety. So if you're more like me, this practice of daily meditation or mindfulness while you're cooking dinner or whatever it is might really, really help you. My prayer for you is that you find some peace in this day. Right now, you're fine, and I'm fine. And if we can stay in the right now and not carried away by all of the, oh my gosh, the sky is falling scenarios, we'll make it. We'll make it through this. And so I'm your partner in this, making it through it one day at a time with you. Try to stay in this 24 hours and just pray, God, give us this day our daily bread and all that we need. Thank you for being here. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel, please, if you haven't yet, and I'll see you soon. And we're going to talk about more things you can do to help with anxiety tomorrow. So I'll see you then. Bye-bye.